Hi everyone, my name is Renee Huang and I'm the host of Ignite podcast and also the founder of Wild Women Tribe. I'm excited to welcome you to yet another episode where we're going to talk about perseverance with these two lovely ladies, Lindsey Elliott from Wylder Goods and Molly Jackson. So I wanted to welcome you guys. Thank you for being here. Perseverance, it's so interesting. Like, I was giving it some thought on the drive over and just really thinking about my experiences with it and my kids as well, because it's one of those traits where it's like you're posed with challenge, and for me, you know, the initial instinct is to run away.
Yes.
Do you each have some thoughts on just the general concept of perseverance? Then we can kind of go into some deeper discussions.
You want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay, Molly.
So I have often struggled with that as well, where things are too hard and I just want to give up. But I have found that when I have the tools and the thoughts that help me realize I am feeling this now, I acknowledge this now, this is hard, but I know I won't be in this forever, and it's okay to rest. So even though perseverance seems like push through, the key to persevering is resting. And to have the tools in your emotional tool belt and your thoughts to be able to say, this won't last forever, this is just for now.
So not powering through necessarily.
Right. That perseverance can be a more thoughtful and calm practice and idea than just to push.
Yeah, and I love how you call it a practice, because it really is something where it's like, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? And it can take you up hills and down and through all sorts of ranges of emotions. But the idea is to just not beat yourself up over it when you're in that kind of lull of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. What about you, Lindsey? What do you think?
Yeah,
about
so
that?
interestingly enough, I come from like a competitive sports background where perseverance is taught in this way, where it's just like, go, 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 you know, push through the pain. And so I'm just now learning this side of perseverance where you pick your head up, you know, and I've been running a startup for the last 4 years, and I'm just now picking my head up and sort of getting out of that, you know, full speed ahead kind of mentality, sacrifice everything, because it's not sustainable.
Right.
Yeah, tell us about Wylder Goods.
Oh,
It is
so
so amazing.
Wylder is an online boutique for outdoor women, and we focus only on ethical brands. So, and we work with everybody from Patagonia to small artisans who make beautiful things like jewelry and pottery. So it's this outdoor lifestyle boutique that really carries a bunch of different things, but
It really kind of promotes like the wild women sort of aesthetic and
lifestyle.
lifestyle.
One thing that was different about when we started is that nobody was speaking to outdoor women in a diverse way. It was like, you're an alpinist, or you're a runner, or you're a skier, but there was, you know, farmers using the same gear, and field researchers using the same gear. And so we sort of created this platform where everybody was acknowledged in their own way of being an outdoors woman. And also, I think the movement itself has seen the casual hiker be now respected as an outdoors person. So we're kind of a community for all types of outdoor women.
That's cool.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Love that.
So I love how you both talk about perseverance as something where you've had to like learn through life experience on how to get to a practice where you feel like you're thriving maybe, or not just struggling. I mean, I think when people think of perseverance, they think of hardship, of challenge, of all of these negative, like being a victim, you know, being a survivor. And I feel like that word is so much more than that, and I think there's so much more strength behind that. So I don't know if you can you discuss, or can you talk about how maybe that idea has evolved as you've grown as well?
Well, one thought, do you guys ever read Seth Godin? So I love kind of his perspective on these sorts of things, because oftentimes we perseverance, I guess, in some way to me means like not waiting for the conditions to be perfect, or like waiting till you have the cup of coffee and the beautiful writer's view and the night's sleep that you needed in order to get something done. I think those things can often be reasons why I put things off, like, oh, the conditions aren't perfect, therefore. But in reading his books, it's been helpful for me to be like, just do it. You know, like, don't wait for things to be perfect, because they're never going to be perfect. Like, the people who succeed in taking risks and achieving the things they achieve, you know, go for those imperfect conditions, go for things during those times. So I think that's kind of a creative way to think about perseverance that doesn't necessarily, or sort of demystifies like the creative or the intellectual in a way.
I think as far as what you were saying about perseverance is seen as despite the struggle, or I'm a victim, or I'm just going to persevere. I think if we can look at our perseverance having a purpose, that in my case, my daughter passed away very unexpectedly in a tragic accident when she choked on an apple. And I mean, I really had a choice to persevere or die. I mean, it was that extreme in the trauma and the grief. And I was able, and I still try to find a purpose in it, a meaning. She was an organ donor, and that provides more meaning. And just sharing my story, even the ups and the downs, helps me persevere, because I feel that I'm helping other people and connecting with them. And I'm not just persevering for the sake of being strong, but it's for other people and for my other children. And so that's kind of how my view has shifted a lot actually, from persevering as a survival to something that brings purpose to a lot of people, I hope. So.
Yeah, and that's so beautiful, the way that you can take a tragedy and then kind of pivot around it and say, how can I bring purpose to this? And Brene Brown, I'm sure you know that author and speaker, you know, she talks so much about vulnerability and the power of being able to put yourself there and out there, and for people to kind of like see you in all of your imperfections and challenges.
Speaking of which, I've had a crazy morning, just went to the dentist, had a flight in late last night, and I'm like, I just like threw on I don't know what, and I didn't realize how much, to the extent I'd be on camera. I'm like, it's a podcast. So yes, all the imperfections.
Too, so.
Right, so if you're not watching it, anyway, you're missing out on an exciting blue outfit, but of casual momhood. But yeah,
but being
all
able to
that,
go there,
just, yeah.
And as a speaker and as a coach, you know, you travel around the States, kind of sharing your story and really inspiring people, I think, to like pick themselves up.
Right.
I think that's so amazing and valuable, what you can bring to it. And you're like a living model of, you know, you think the worst fear that so many parents have, your child dying.
Well,
and you're in front of us, and you're gorgeous, and your family's thriving, and so are you.
I'm breathing, right? And it makes you see the world so differently, because you realize you have no idea what anyone has survived or what they're going through. And so I honestly, anytime I see anyone like sitting in a chair, giving an interview, driving down the street, I'm like, good for you. You're just still living, and you're out there and persevering. It's pretty amazing. They're taking that flight, they're meeting a friend for lunch, whatever, going to their 9-to-5 job. Like, it truly actually amazes me that we're not all sitting on the couch watching Netflix.
We're a resilient bunch, aren't we?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Did you have some business kind of stories that you wanted to share, or perseverance through being a startup? And
Oh my gosh, I'm still so in it. I'm like wearing the startup struggle right now as we speak. I'm definitely not on the other side of it. So I don't know, from where I sit today, I think I'm very surprised that you just build new thresholds all the time of what difficulty means to you or what risk means to you. And I can get a little bit fixated on that. I think as an outdoors person, and like I'm accustomed to taking risks, and like it makes for a natural sort of entrepreneur mentality.
So you're always wired this way?
Yes, but the development that's happened in the last 4 years is staggering to me. Like I sometimes I wake up, even this morning I was with a mentor and I'm like, I can't believe we're still here. You know, as a business, given what has happened and the moments when I was like, oh, it's over,
Right.
or, you know, there's this amount of money in the bank and I have to pay these bills tomorrow. Like, what's gonna happen? But I don't know, it's like, you get to this point where all the chips are in the middle of the table and you have no choice but to keep going, and there's something super powerful about that, because that all-in mentality makes it so that you have to keep going and you have to survive, and I think that's really cool to experience. But also it's critical to sort of check in and be like, is this a healthy amount of adrenal stress on a like weekly basis? You know, like,
Right.
can I sustain this? I mean, part of my process, I was 27 when we started the company, and life is just different now, you know, and I think, you know, as an all-female led company, and our ages are, we all range in our early to late 30s, it's important to sort of reassess and like allow for that reassessment. Be like, does this work for us in the way that we've been doing it, and not be afraid to change course, or remember that you built it and you're in charge of the effects it has on your lifestyle to a certain extent, and your family's lifestyle and your friends and all of that. So I don't know, risk, it's something not to get hooked on, I think, or be willing to change your relationship to over time.
I love that. You're so wise for
Oh.
being so young. Sorry, I'm so vocal. I respond like,
Yeah. What do you do with that feeling? Like, can you both talk about that feeling? Because I think there is always like a turning point where you're like, is this going to be it?
For me, as I've launched my speaking business and I'm certifying to be a life coach, and my website's almost done, and my demo reel. I mean, I've spoken for years and I have a background in theater, but for me, it helps to give a timeline a little. Not a hard timeline, but like, okay, I gave myself, this is my year of building. I'm building my business, I'm building my brand, I'm building my content, I'm building my website. This is my year of building. And I can't believe the progress I've made already. And so I have to, a deadline helps, like a time frame, and then I have to reassess, like you said, I can't give up now. I'm just on the cusp. I have so much momentum. Why would I quit? But I love that thought that I started this, I'm in charge of this, and I can decide. But it's amazing how humans are wired that we don't really love the struggle, but we love the result. And I keep telling myself that's one of my tools of perseverance, is like, I know that I'm in the struggle now, but when I have that result, I'm going to feel great. And so I guess that ties into having a timeline and some goals, but
Yeah, perseverance is a hard thing to kind of teach to kids, I'm noticing, you know, and it's one of those values that I talk to my children about, along with integrity and honesty and, you know, trust and love and those things. I mean, because we get confronted with struggle and then we want to just kind of like crawl under the covers and say, okay, I can't do this, and, you know, I give up.
yeah.
Right, and so I'm curious how you've managed to address that and confront it and just kind of move over and past that. What about you?
The first thing that came to my mind when you're thinking about teaching kids about perseverance was like, take them for a hike, because like, I hated hiking as a kid, but you struggle, it sucks. You struggle, then you get to the top and you're like, oh my gosh, and it's pretty much the same as an adult with anything, but you get to those breakthrough moments when you're like, I can't stop now, I'm almost there kind of feeling. Yeah, I don't know that I've learned, like I said, I don't know what the specific resources are that have popped in that have been like, oh, well, now I feel like I can do this, other than just doing it. You know, it's kind of like public speaking. Like you don't get better at it other than just doing it, and you have to kind of embrace all of the imperfections that are going to happen along the way, and the pit sweat and the red face and all the stress and all of that. But then you're just better at it, and so there's an acceptance of imperfection and maybe like little failures along the way.
And discomfort.
And discomfort, yeah, absolutely. And I think that along with the struggle, the fear of failure or not being successful is maybe what keeps people from persevering, and like definitely has kept me in certain times in the past. But
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, this whole Wild Women Tribe passion project that I started, did not have a business plan, still doesn't, and I do a lot of trial and error, and I feel like I come back to a lot of what's the purpose? Am I doing this for the right reasons? What is it that is the driving motivator? Just really those core kind of beliefs. And it's not always easy, because when you're iterating in a business or an idea, sometimes you come to a dead end and you have to back up, and then you have to turn and look at it from another point of view. And so I have to remind myself that that's just part of the process, and it's okay as long as I keep kind of the focus on wanting to bring transformational experiences to women outdoors, right? And I have to allow myself, okay, well, you know what, if that didn't work, that's okay, because I tried, and so maybe I can try something different and see if that works.
Right.
But I think it's that willingness to go there and to push your own boundaries and to step off the cliff like again and again and again that really gets us to perseverance. And I think at the other end of perseverance is growth. Right? And you don't really get there until you take those risks that take you there.
Right.
So
I know, and sometimes I'm like, but I don't want to grow anymore.
it's
growing
scary.
hurts.
Yeah, like
it's painful.
done enough, but it's always worth it in the end. Even if it's a negative outcome, I've still learned something. I've still grown. And it's amazing to think someone's out there looking at you and all you've done and are doing, thinking, oh, I want to do that. And you're thinking, am I doing it right? Am I doing it enough? And it's just neat how we all learn from and are inspired by each other. So
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah, I would be remiss in not mentioning, for me at least, how privilege plays a role in this, because I know I'm not really going to fail, like my business might not make it, but I'm going to be okay, and I'm going to be able to get a job. And I think that's something that I try and keep front of mind when I'm building up, what my struggles look like in a day-to-day basis in my business. And not everybody has that opportunity to take risks. So I like to think of risk-taking as really a privilege that I have, given my education and my background and my upbringing. And it kind of helps me not overthink it too much.
But it's the gift that you're given, right?
Totally.
That's kind of where you are in life. So you have the tools and the resources to kind of take that forward with your purpose.
Yeah, it's a cushion that is sort of invisible, but it's there, and not everybody has it. So
That's so honest and self-aware. That and important.
yeah,
Like that's, wow, I really enjoyed hearing that.
Well, it's very humble too, because
It's thought-provoking.
If we were homeless and living on the streets, we would have a whole other set of priorities
Right.
before these self-evolutions and businesses and things that we're able
Right.
to do. So,
Yep.
Right.
I mean, it's like that hashtag first world problems, right? I mean, it's like we do have certain things that other people, the majority of the world, I guess, does not have.
But everyone needs perseverance,
Right.
despite.
Where they are.
Yep.
So
What about, we were talking earlier about a practice. Do you have a practice of perseverance when you're met with challenges or hardships? Is there something that kind of kicks in, or?
I do. I have, it goes along with my life coaching, which I'm trained in the Brooke Castillo. I don't know if you know her. She's amazing. She has a podcast, the Life Coach School. And she calls it the thought model. Sometimes with my clients, I call it an emotional worksheet, but the letters are CTFAR, and it stands for circumstance, that all circumstances are neutral. So if I'm having a hard time, Like today, I had a friend coming, I had to clean the basement, I had to get my kids to the dentist. What am I wearing? And I had a podcast interview this morning and, you know, trying to hurry and take a quick shower. So my circumstance is I'm a stay-at-home mom. I've got all these things to do. So then the next line is the thought. What are my thoughts about that? I'm too overwhelmed. I can't do all this. I look like crap. So then the next line is the F, and that's feelings. What kind of feelings does that thought create? Well, it makes me feel frantic. It makes me feel discouraged. So then the A line is the action. That those feelings are going to create a certain action of apologetic behavior or slumping or maybe calling and saying, I'm not going to make it. And then the final line is the R, which is the result. So what will the result be from that action? So my practice is to go back and pick a thought, because the only thing I can change in that is the thought. The circumstance is the same, but if I pick a different thought, I'm doing my best, this is a great opportunity, I'm going to show up like myself. That creates a different feeling of empowerment, which creates a different action, which creates a different result. So that is my practice, CTFAR, which I usually say, choose the right thought and you'll go far. CTFAR. So
I need to write that down.
yes. So thoughts create feelings, feelings create actions, actions create results. So my practice is to choose a thought, and you can try thoughts on like clothing. You can try them on, and if it feels right, if you think, oh, that's one I could believe or start to believe, then it changes everything, and your result is closer to what you want. So
And that's
that
empowering.
was a long answer,
Yeah.
but that is my practice that I believe in and love so much. And the more you do it, you can start to put things in the result line to start with,
And then work backwards.
and then work backward. And like, what's the thought that's going to get
cool.
me to that result? So
Yeah.
you're going to do that with your business.
I'm like, I need to take that home today.
That's my practice.
I love that.
So
Yeah. Oh, I have nothing that good. Mine are all really basic, like, you know, make sure to exercise and like move emotions out of my body on a daily basis. And sometimes I do that, not for myself. I'm like, I know I'm going to be a better team member and a better leader if I go to yoga at 5:30 and that's what gets me out of bed. But I don't know, I garden and spend time with dogs and
that's huge.
have like, I don't know, things that, yeah, I mean, all of my coping mechanisms are pretty like physical and environmental, but I've been trying to think of, I taped this little note to my computer, I think maybe 2 months ago, but it just says, high road, long view. And I just try and like think about that when something comes up, and now I'm going to think about it and then take all those notes.
No, I love that. And I think that reminding ourselves that beliefs are just thoughts that we keep having it might sound silly, but it's also pretty empowering, because we just have like, normally the thoughts that we have just flow in and out of our brains, and we feel like they're just happening despite whatever control we may or may not have. But I love a little process that reminds you, no, you don't have to think that if it doesn't feel good and you don't like that.
Yeah, which is what I tell my kids. I don't want to go to the dentist. I hate the dentist. And I said, well, you just hate it because you're having a thought about that. So choose a different thought.
Yeah.
And they get tired of me saying that. But it goes back to the beginning when you asked about perseverance. And I said, well, I have these tools and I know that I'm not in it forever. And that's what I was referring to as like choosing
impermanence.
Yeah, and choosing that new thought and knowing, wait, I'm feeling this way because. So
That's fantastic.
thanks for letting me spew that forth.
Now, was that something that you were taught, or was that something that you learned after your daughter's death?
That
or?
was, I learned that from the Brooke Castillo Life
okay.
Coach School, and that's her thought model, and I believe it like gospel truth. It has really changed my life. But yes, I have gone to a lot of therapy. I still take Ambien to sleep. Kelly Wolf, who I work with as a life coach, she's all about the 3 M's: move, munch, and meditate, and I add mingle because I need people and I need to connect and an extrovert. But
Community is
yeah,
so
so there's
important.
lots of things I've learned through this, but that one was the most recent with my life coach training. So
Well, and I think with perseverance as well, like sharing where you are with people that you love and trust is really important, because, you know, they have your back, and context is everything. And so if they know that you're going through a struggle, then they can step up. And I think as humans, it's one of the hardest things for us to do, kind of take the shell down and let people see us in the midst of our imperfections. But when we do that, I find that the results are so rewarding, and people step up and step in. And I was very new to Park City. I'd only been here for 2 years, so had just a very what I felt like was a tenuous friend circle, and I was going through a divorce, and I had no family here, and so that was one of the things that I had to learn how to do, you know, which was really difficult to like allow people to see what I felt like was the darkest parts of what I was going through. But
I'm sure they love you even all
but
the
it was
more.
rewarding, you know, because the people who were able to step up and did it with great enthusiasm and compassion. And so I think in the depths of struggle or hardship, the people around us can often be a great resource.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, I think we're going to wrap up. I wanted to thank you both for taking the time to discuss kind of like a harder topic, I think. Did you want to share any websites or ways that people can get in touch with you?
Sure, yeah. So my website is called wyldergoods.com, and it's spelled WYLDER goods.com. Whether you're an outdoors woman or you have one in your life, you might find something interesting there. But we're on social media with the same handle. Check it out.
And mine, Instagram is where a lot of my mayhem happens. I have a fun account. It's Smalley Spice. So my maiden name is Bice, Molly Bice, and I'm small. So Smalley Spice is my Instagram, and then my website is mollybicejackson.com. That's where you can see more about my speaking and coaching. So
Great. Thank you guys both for being here.
Thank you for having me.
yeah, it was wonderful.
And I wanted to thank Park City Television for being our media sponsor on the Ignite podcast. I'm Renee Huang. I'm the founder of Wild Women Tribe. You can find us online at wildwomentribe.net and on Instagram and Facebook as well. So join us next time on the Ignite podcast, where we're listening to interesting discussions with amazing women. Thank you.